Hey folks, welcome back to another Poem Masters video, and I generally don't do these videos anymore just because, A, people don't watch them that much, and B, you could just generally just check the Datamined docs that me, Runner, and other folks, right, on Discord do every month, which just, you know, goes over sync grids, team comms, you know, which nodes are good, this or that, generally, and you know, I think that's just easier, right? Which I'll have it linked in the description box down below. But this time that we're not done with it yet because I don't know, people are busy. So and these are, I guess, pretty popular units. So I thought I'd just do one beforehand, right? Before, you know, hopefully the Datamined gets done soon, right? So anyways, let's talk about it. So first, let's talk about Ash and Pikachu over here. Right, so Ash and Pikachu, it's electric type striker. Its speed's not the best. Special attack stats very good, right? Has a decent amount of HP, and you're mainly using this 2-bar Thunder as your DPS move, and then you have a big B Thunderbolt over here, buddy move, which unlocks after you use 3 moves, which is basically around sync move time. And the more gauges you use, the more power, you know, it gets powered up by. And it's just an overall very powerful one-use only move. You only get to use it once in the entire battle, but it's very powerful, right? And your second training move over here buffs your special attack and by 4 and crit by 3, and then extra 2 special attack and speed when you have half HP or more, which you always will, right? Even if you do pick half HP in Master mode, as soon as you enter the battle, you click this, boom, that's +6 special attack, +3 crit, +2 speed, right? Easy. And then your other training move gives you some HP back, right? And charges your move gauge by 6, applies gradual healing to you, and then gives you super effective up next, and then gives you damage guard as well. So this could be nice sometimes when you are at low HP and you want to do the PR5 Thunder thing, or whatever, right? Or, you know, if you want super effective up next on your B Thunderbolt, if for some reason a regular B Thunderbolt isn't enough to one-shot the opponent, right? And then, yeah, your sync is always going to crit, unless they, you know, have crit protection, right? As for your passive, you have Canto Spirit, which is just regular Spirit Master passive. More Canto units, the more your team's special attack moves and special damage reduction is. You have Ash's Passion, which powers up your Thunder, decreases the amount of move gauge it needs to use by 1, and then it never misses. Ash's Tenacity enters the battle with full HP, gives Endurance. When you enter the battle with full HP, you have Endurance, and then when Endurance activates for the first time, and you have 1 more HP remaining, you get another Endurance. So you basically just get 2 Endurances. And then your last passive over here increases special move up next by 2 when it's under 33.33% HP. First time it enters that state in a battle, so there's that extra 2 special move up next if you get that. And yeah, as for the lucky skill, it's generally, you know, as a damage healer, you want Crit Strike 2, right? Doesn't have to be, but, you know, it's just an easy general striker passive to have. And there's certain team comps where you could run other special, you know, lucky skills, but generally, Crit Strike 2 should be fine, right? As for your grid, at 1 out of 5, you don't have much. You can pick up the move gauge Fresh and Thunder, pick up Thunder power up, more Thunder power ups over here. Get a special attack up here. Here's some speed, special attack up. Nothing else is really important unless there's stages that debuff your special attack or debuff your speed. Then you can pick up Dauntless or Haste, or if they're trying to paralyze you, you can pick this up. But otherwise, if you're low on Sync Orbs, then you can just go with this. If you're not low on Sync Orbs, pick everything up basically, right? You could pick almost everything up, so yeah. Anyways, moving on to 2 out of 5 over here. You do get some better stuff, right? So, for example, if you are running an Electric Train, you can have Turbocharge, which gives you extra move gauge acceleration and Electric Train. You can have some heals there as well if you really need it. I'd say generally not a huge deal. You have Hostile Environment on Thunder, which could help paralyze opponent. There's a special attack +10. Still pick up the Thunder stuff, Thunder power-ups. If you're going to sync with them, pick up the sync move power-up notes. If not, then don't pick them up. And yeah, I don't think anything else is really that big of a deal. Right, if you're not syncing, just pick up more Thunder power-ups, I guess. Move gauge refresh, I guess, if you want. Special attack up, speed. I don't really care about these two, personally. So, yeah, moving on, 3 out of 5. Grid over here. There's a few ways you could go about this. Depends if you want Rejuvenate 6. I feel like 6 gauge B Thunderbolt is generally overkill, so I don't think there's much of a point picking up the Rejuvenate 6. But yeah, it's most of his grid is based on if you do have like if you are running a sync nuke grid with Pikachu, if you're trying to sync with him, then yeah, that's like a lot of the stuff like Static Shock over here. All right, so this is, for example, a grid you maybe want to run if you're trying to sync with Pikachu, right? So you got all this sync stuff, and then as for the rest, there's a few options you could go for. For example, you know, if you want to go for Rejuvenate 6, you could go for that. If you want to go for, I don't know, Pinch Push 3, which gives you -3 sync move countdown, you go for that as well. Or just some simple Thunder power-ups, that's fine too. If you're not syncing with Pikachu, I guess there's a few other things you could do. Thunder Power Reserves, which is generally not that great of multiplier, but Pikachu doesn't really have anything else on his grid, right? This is definitely not a unit that you really need his grid, unless you want to sync with him. Definitely not a unit you really need at 3 out of 5, right? Pinch Push I'd still pick up, which is pretty nice, right? They're both, you know, at low HP triggers, so those are nice. But other than that, you don't have too much going for you. Maybe pick some Thunder power-ups here and there. If you want Turbocharge, you could do that, I guess. But yeah, if you're not syncing with them, you don't have too much to go for. Just pick up like some Thunder power-up nodes, and you're good, I guess, basically, right? Or if you want like Propulsion, you go for that. But otherwise, everything else is either sync stuff or generally very situational / useless, right? So moving on to team comps, unironically, the triple 3rd year anniversary team is one of the best teams for him, because you have Red over here with, why is he at 2 out of 5? I don't know. But you have Red over here setting Electric Terrain for you, giving you the Kanto Flag Bearer Master passive, right? And then it's another Kanto unit to add on to that. And then you have SSA Cynthia over here with the extra physical special move up next for both your Ash, which is special, and then Red, which is physical, right? And both of these, you know, buddy moves, whatever, get the boost from that. So that's going to be very, very powerful, right? Especially for Red's buddy move, right? So this could be really, really nice. You could also, instead, you could have, let me get rid of that filter. Instead, you could have like Sabrina. New Year's Sabrina over here is really, really nice too. You got triple Kanto for the triple, you know, or the max Kanto Spirit and Kanto Flag Bearer passive proc, and then Sabrina over here also has a chance to give Ash special move up next with her passive as well. She could also tank, heal, whatever, give Ash even more endurances, right? Because her trainer move could just straight up heal your unit and then give them an extra endurance for no reason. So this is also a solid option. As for any like other Kanto units that you maybe want for the max amount of the passive, I guess you could also go for other Kanto units as supports. You can maybe throw in Koga over there to debuff the opponent's special defense, right? That's an option, I guess. What else? Yeah, I think that's the main ones, right? In terms of Kanto units, I don't think any of the other supports really add too much value to your team. Yeah, I get like the rest of the supports, they don't really make much of a difference, right? It's just like maybe like how well they tank, but otherwise, yeah, there aren't big like game changers here in terms of sports. Like the only really one that adds positive value would be like NY Sabrina offensively. I think, yeah, she's the only one. Yeah, so, but yeah, you don't have to run like full like Kanto. Not a sport, but not that Koga is one. But I guess that's his Leaf as well if you want to you know, have her debuff both physical and special defenses there too. So yeah, that's for Kanto units. Of course, you don't have to do that. You don't have to run red, although red is very, very good in this case. You could also switch to some other electric train users, like a Volkner, right? If I could, there he is. Volkner, in this case, I guess you could still use NY Sabrina here, but in terms of like other supports, you could do something like, for example, SS Chris, right? It would be nice to give special move up next there as well, right? It just doesn't, you know, she does have like the Johto master passive, but you don't have the extra Kanto one, which, I mean, if you're not running the extra Kanto unit over there, it might be, you know, it might be a solid option there as well. So you could throw in SS Chris, I guess, in this case. And I guess you could also do a Raihan if you want. And Anniversary Raihan could also be a decent option, right, to give super effective up next and extra special physical move up next stuff. If I could find him, I can't find him, whatever. I guess I could type. Or not. See, oh, no, he's in Gen 3, because the site orders by, like, Pokemon Gen, which is, like, you know, weird way of ordering, but it's alright. So, yeah, any Raihan there could be an option. Classic Red could be an option there as well, right, if you are fighting super effective stages. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you could go with. Again, he maxes out his own offense stats, so you could be much, much more flexible with the support slot over there, right? But, yeah, again, I'd say something like Singsu Thunderbolt Red, you know, Ash, Pikachu over here, and, like, Singsu Aura, Cynthia would be a very, very nice one if you get those together, right? Or NY Sabrina over there instead as a solid option. So, alright, that's Red, or not, Ash! Sorry, that's sometimes I do it on purpose to get people mad, but sometimes I just genuinely make the mistake. Anyways, they help build that Pikachu. What can I do, right? Anyways, next let's move on to Singsu Aura Cynthia. Alright, so for Singsu Aura Cynthia, she's a support, right? That can Mega. When she Megas, she gets extra defenses, right? Over there on both defenses. She's a tank. She's one of the top tanks in the game. And yeah, her speed is not great, but she does have a 1 gauge spam over here, which you could, well, spam, as that implies. So we also have potions to heal your team. You have B Aura Sphere as your buddy move. This requires you to get hit twice. One slight quirk about this is, unless you like spam it very, very fast so you could queue it up, generally it's kind of like like an extra turn after that you could really use it. But anyways, so this one's very, very powerful. You have 2 uses, unlike Ash's one. You have 2 uses here, and it gives you move gauge acceleration to your field of play, and then increases physical move up next and special move up next by 2 for your entire team, and it locks after that, so you'll have to get hit by another 2 times for you to, like, you know, use it again. And then your train move just buffs defense, special defense for your entire team by +6 when there's Fighting Zone, and you enter with Fighting Zone. So basically +6 special defense and physical defense for your team. Your sync doesn't do anything other than make you like Mega Lucario. And then as for your passives, you have Sinnoh Flag Bearer, which is Flag Bearer but for Sinnoh, more Sinnoh units, more power-ups for moves and damage reduction. Cynthia's Aura turns the field of play zone into Fighting Zone when you enter the battle, and after you sync as well. So there's that. You have infinite zone settings. It's not only for the first time, it's just anytime you sync with her, boom, you get Fighting Zone back. Team Fist Bump heals your team by a bit when you attack the opponent. Well, 40% chance of healing your team, right? And then Initial Guard gives you Damage Guard next when you enter the battle. This, you know, you get it again once you Mega, right? Because that's counts as another entry. When you Mega, you only get stats, you don't really get anything else. So there is that. Moving on, let's talk about, I guess, lucky skills. There's a few options you could go for. You could go for the good old Vigilance as a tank. I mean, you don't get crit is always going to be nice. But outside of that, since she's so, like, tanky anyways, I wouldn't really go for Vigilance if you do have the RNG and resources to roll for one of the deluxe cookies, right? I would say something like Head Start or Adrenaline will be very, very nice. Depends on what strategy you're running, right? I personally prefer Adrenaline. Personally would prefer Adrenaline. It's a bit more surefire, right? Adrenaline makes it so that you have 1 extra sync move countdown after you sync, which makes it much easier, right, for you to combine, you know, with other passives to actually get a fighting sync in if you really want, right, at the end. So there is that at least. Anyways, yeah, those are, I'd say, the best options. But if you can't afford that, you go for Vigilance as well. That's still fine. As for the sync grid at 1 out of 5, you don't have too much. Just go for speed, defenses, I guess, antitoxin, haste. Since you are the tank, you'll be, you know, getting hit a bit. So yeah, you can pick these up, and if you have enough orbs, then you can pick up all the rest as well, right? I'm pretty sure you can pick up everything at 1 out of 5. If you can't, who cares? Doesn't really matter. Moving on to 2 out of 5, you have a few nice things. You could go for Team Staring Contest, which prevents your team from flinching, which is nice. You could go for the Potion, Master Healer, MP Refresh up there, which is cool. Fighting Zone Triage Tank, right? 50% chance of healing yourself when you get hit by an attack move, and then gives you move gauge, regen, and Fighting Zone as well with Brawling Acceleration too. So these are definitely really nice. 50% chance of confusing the opponent when you hit them with the Vacuum Wave, so that's really good as well. So I'd say generally pick up these 5 passives. As for anything else, you could go, actually you can't afford Move Gauge Refresh, you just go for like a few more stat power-ups. Speed would be nice, and you know, that's not a good speed though. If you want some extra defenses, special defenses, you go for those as well. Alright, at 3 out of 5, obviously that's where you get everything. This is very situational. It really depends on what you're trying to go for, what teams you have. If you need any crit buffs, you come down here, pick up Focus Group 9 and Sync Free for All. This is just very nice. Free move next for your entire team. That's just fantastic after you sync. For the first time, that's just going to be straight up good. You could go for Impervious if the opponents debuff you, or if you want any more HP, you go for that 50 HP. Which I'm not exactly sure why you would need that, but you know, it's cool, extra HP. But yeah, you go for Impervious if you need to paralyze or confuse the opponents. You can go up there for those, right? Triage Tank for more heals, acceleration for, well, move gauge acceleration, right? So those are all good stuff. Head Start if you have any units that could in the first sync cycle decrease sync move countdown. For example, you have like Dojo Gloria, you could pick up Head Start. Dojo Gloria uses her trainer move twice, and then boom, you could sync after turn 2, which is very good, right? So again, this all depends on what units you're running. So if your team doesn't need crit buffs, you save a lot of energy over here. You can pick up some more stuff over here. The potion stuff, if you really need the potion, I just don't really find the potion stuff as useful generally as like some of the other stuff that you could get. But hey, if you're on a stage that really just hits you that hard and you need to heal your teammates, right, maybe you go for the potions, I guess. But generally I'd say these things are a bit more useful overall, right? So anyways, moving on to some team comps. We don't really discuss support team comps. She is a unit that you could run with any unit, right? Every single damage dealer in the game, she is good with, right? She is especially good with fighting units because you have Fighting Zone. But even outside of fighting units, don't shoehorn her into she's the fighting support. Please don't shoehorn her into that. She is very good with fighting units because you have the extra Fighting Zone. But even without fighting units, she is still incredibly powerful. She's, first of all, a pretty solid tank, but also her buddy move is just good for everyone, right? Special damage dealers, physical damages, because all use that. Anyone that could use the multipliers from her defenses, right? If there's like a tough cookie, towering force unit, whatever, right? Smart cookie, etc. You could throw her in there as well, right? Or if you just need like a solid tank to take some hits, you could throw her in. She's just good for like everything, right? She's good for any team. Throw her on any team, makes the team better, right? Pretty simple. Nothing too in-depth in terms of team comps. Put her on a team, that team gets better. Alright, last one over here, we got Singsu Red and Thunderbolt Pikachu, which is also very good. I mean, all of them are good units, right? So, this one's the tech. You have solid HP, okay-ish defenses for attack, I guess. Very good speed, and decent attack and special attack stats. So, yeah, you also have a Dynamax, or G-Max in this case, right? So there's that as well. As for removes, you have a 1 gauge spam and Thundershock that could chance to paralyze Electric Terrain to set Electric Terrain. B Vault Tackle, which is your buddy move over here. It does cost you 2 gauges. You have unlimited uses. As long as Electric Train is up, this can be used. And it hits pretty hard. There's no recoil for those worrying about recoil. And yeah, as long as you have Electric Train, you get to spam this and gauges. And then it ignores passives that reduce damage. So it basically has built-in piercing blow, sort of, right? And it hits AoE. And it has the same, you know, Lugia Necrozma AoE thing where it doesn't decrease the AoE damage, right? So that's very, very powerful if there's multiple targets. And then lowers the opponent's defense, special defense by 1 every time you hit them when they're paralyzed, which is incredibly busted, right? Very, very powerful B move over here. Your training move buffs your attack by 6, gives you gradual heal to your team. And your Tech Nuke innate is when there's Electric Train. As for your passive, you have Kanto Flag Bearer, which is Flag Bearer for Kanto. Red's Fighting Spirit extends Electric Train duration. And yeah, quickly charges a move gauge in Electric Train, restores your HP whenever your Pokemon takes an action in Electric Train. You have Clutch Critical, which makes all your moves, except in certain circumstances, which is probably just really crit shield, right? It makes it so that all your moves, sync moves, and max moves crit, right? Always crit, so that's very powerful as well. Max Countdown will reduce your sync move counter by 3 after using a max move, and then you have your G-Max moves, which is G-Max Vault Crash. You have a special one and a physical one. Generally, you want to use a physical one just because your attack and special attack stats are the same, but your training move buffs your physical attack by 6, so that's just easier. Unless you have some unit to buff your special attack by 6, then okay, sure, you go for special one. You also have Max Guard, gives you damage guard, which I don't really see why. It's going to be a very, very rare use, right? Over the physical G-Max Vault Crash, which again, AoE paralyzes your opponent, which then you could debuff them with this, right? So yeah, as for any lucky skills, again, Crit Strike, right? In terms of doing more damage, which he's more than capable of doing. Crit Strike 2 for more damage. And yeah, that's that, I guess. Or if you want Head Start, Adrenaline, those are always going to be useful in specific team comps. As for the grid, at 1 out of 5, just go for your power-ups, right? B Volt Tackle power-ups. You don't even have to go for the Thunder Shock power-ups, honestly. Go for some speed, some special attack, or not special attack, physical attack, right? Some more B Volt Tackle power-ups. And yeah, that's basically all you really need. Nothing else is really necessary to pick up, unless you have a lot of leftover sync orbs. Then sure, pick everything up. All right, at 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5, you have Paralysis Synergy for 1. You have Static Shock 3, which increases your sync. These two are very situational. If the opponent team does have Flinch, Trap, Confuse, or any statuses, then you can pick one of these or both these up. If not, then not very useful. Thundershock Hostile Environment 4 I don't find super useful because you could just paralyze the entire team with your max move anyways, unless there's like multiple layers. If you're fighting like a full first battle or Battle Villa boss or whatever, right? Multiple layers, since you could only use your max move once, then maybe you could pick that up to paralyze them to get your debuffs and all that stuff. Although I'm not sure if that's a great idea either, but anyways, yeah, just come over here, pick up Paralysis Synergy. You can pick up Precision Pals if you want. I don't find it really necessary though. But are there any? I guess there are certain units that can use it, right? Some certain units that have Thunder as their main damaging move, but like don't really, you know, have any accuracy buffs, which I don't think there are. Are there any? Mew has like random buffs though. Anyway, Static Shock over here. You have Ramp Up. It's yeah. I don't know. Actually, no, don't go there. Just do this. I think this is cheaper, right? Let's see, 2, 7, 6. Yeah, no, yeah, this is the cheapest route for Static Shock. Pick that up, and again, these two depends on what you're facing. You could pick up one or both. Otherwise, just pick up more B Volt Tackle stuff, right? And more physical attack, I guess. More speed. Some random stat nodes should be fine over here. As for 3 out of 5, that's where you get your full grid, right? And there's a few options if you're trying to sync with them, because he does have a solid sync nuke. You go down here for Haymaker, your sync move power up node. Go here for that. Pick up, you know, Static Shock or Cakewalk here if you're just going for full sync nuke stuff wise, right? And shocking countdown. If you really don't have anyone else to debuff the opponent's speed, although if you are trying to like go for this full nuke, I would suggest to have someone better debuff speed. His relying on this debuff speed is just way too slow, right? So there's that. You could go for max conductivity. I can't speak there as well. Maybe if you like drop Cakewalk, because Cakewalk is a bit of a hard multiplier to work around, right? And I guess this is your cheapest option to get there, right? So if you want that for an extra electro train, although I don't find it really necessary most of the time unless you're just fighting a gauntlet, which I guess that could be a bit of an issue. But yeah, that's if you're trying to nuke with him. If you're just trying to use him as like a tech-ish unit, you're not even trying to do damage, you could go for the hostile environment, shock, staggering stuff over here. And then maybe you know, this stuff, you're trying to like tank with him. I don't know, that's slightly weird in my opinion. You could go for this if you want that extra max move, 30% damage as well. Although I do think his sync is just better to power up, right, if you're going for the full. But yeah, otherwise, if you're just going for pure DPS, I guess you could go Paralysis Synergy here. Go that. Just, you know, B-Vault Tackle power-ups, right? Max move over here. And everything else is just like extra, depends on what you want to pick up, right? Because nothing else really matters too much in terms of his damage on his Paralysis Synergy, or not Paralysis, on his B-Vault Tackle, right? Speed, I guess, whatever, this, that, who cares, right? So anyways, all right, moving on to team comps. So one of his top team comps is basically the same as Red, right? Where you have, or not Red, Ash, oh my god. You run Red for the Electro Train Setter, Ash for the main DPS, and then you have SSA Cynthia over there for both physical and special move up next, because Red is physical and then Ash is special, right? So you could run that, or you could run Sabrina, Sabrina in there instead for more special move up next for Ash. I mean, it's basically the same comps as Ash, unless you're not running Ash, right? Which you can. You don't have to run Ash. There's other options. There's a lot of other, you know, electric type damagers that you could use instead of Ash. For example, NY Volkner would be very, very nice over here. He's pretty powerful himself as well. Again, you can still have NY Sabrina in there as the support. You could have Raihan, I guess, if you really want. Any Raihan, right? Just any of those other units. SS Chris could be another option, right? Again, Aura, Cynthia, etc. Right? So those same units could still be good for him. The other electro type damage healers, basically Elisa or N comps, right? It's just their same comps, except just replace Volkner with Red here, I guess. If you want like a Red like comp for himself as like the main damage healer / nuker, then you'll need someone to help him with the Cakewalk situation stuff, right? So in this case, you'd want someone that could debuff speed, someone like maybe like a Dojo Gloria, which could also debuff the opponent's defenses as well there, so that could be a decent option, or whoever else that could buff speed relatively, or debuff speed relatively well, like Dojo Gloria, SS May could be another option, right? And yeah, and same other slot unit applies with most of Red comps, right? So anyways, that's me this one, I guess. Hope you all enjoyed. Guys, think in the comments down below. Like, enjoyed the videos, for some more Pokemon content. Good luck, guys, are pulling for Red later tonight, and I'll see you guys in the next one then.